Okay, I'm not even gonna lie, you guys, I've already recorded this episode once, but I didn't really like the way that it turned out, so I'm gonna record it again. But guess what? This episode is not very long. Okay, why am I looking over here? The camera is over there. That's because I have a new setup. Welcome to my desk. It's just me and my journal of secrets. Just kidding, it's not my journal of secrets, it's my journal of ideas. Guys, this notebook has lots of good ideas and everything that goes on up here. Hello and welcome back to another episode of On The Go with Gori, a podcast where I, your host, talk about anything and everything on my mind. I recently learned something really cool that I wanted to share with you. There's this new game that's been blowing off the shelves right now, and if you haven't heard about it, don't worry, you're not alone. Basically, Nex Playground is this motion-controlled gaming console that uses AI-integrated cameras to track your movements. And guys, it is hot. They've reached nearly 600,000 units, hitting #1 on Amazon and gaining its popularity from, you guessed it, TikTok. This is something that's super crazy. Nex literally has passed the Xbox in sales, and they're just behind the PS5. Crazy. They even entirely sold out at some stores of Best Buy, Walmart, and Target. Wild. They've had literally a hockey stick growth. I mean, 2 years ago, they sold 5,000 units. A year ago, 150,000. And today, 600,000. Again, hockey stick growth. But here is the real kicker. Nex wasn't always a hardware company. No, they actually started off as software. And they pivoted to hardware during the COVID era. So, to give you some context, Nex first started off as this AI basketball tracking app. Then they pivoted during the COVID era to gamifying workouts. Then they used their ML, their camera tech, all of that data that they collected to pivot again into a gaming console. They went from software to hardware by tracking user habits and their tendencies. And while people are focusing on what's next for Nex, see what I did there? I think the story was interesting before the success. What I take away is that Nex Playground sounds like an overnight success story where no one's heard of this gaming console and all of a sudden it's all the fame. But in reality, I find it deeply human. Nex started off as an app that didn't quite land the first time, nor the second, at least the way that they envisioned for it to be. The efforts, the ideas, the concepts, they were all there. But some other factors like timing or market readiness just wasn't aligned, at least not yet. And that's the important part. Nex Playground is a reminder that iteration growth is much more important than inspiration. It didn't just disappear because an idea was bad or didn't work. They stalled and they kept working. The team just kept on going. They learned from what didn't work. They used their old data, and they just adjusted. Whether we like to admit it or not, we fail forward. We try things that don't work because that's how we learn. And it's not just luck. I mean, surely that plays a part, but it's persistence. And it's persistence in the right form. Our failures, our mistakes, our missteps carry data, just like Nex collected, that we use to sharpen, adjust, and improve our next move. I said failure in quotes because true failure is when we stop too early. I think what we need to do is change our tone from this didn't work to it didn't work this way, because that just isolates it down to that path or that methodology that was chosen. And it opens up our horizon to the infinite number of possibilities that can work and that we need to go chase down. So when I heard about Nex Playground, I found this experience incredibly and deeply human. Just like Nex, you and I experiment with ideas, with concepts. Just like Nex, you and I stumble. We try to build something that doesn't quite work the way we wanted it to, and we try again. And just like Nex, we repackage. We take that one idea or product that we have and perhaps go in a different direction or start an entirely new path. And just like Nex, you and I try and try again. And it's humbling. It's so freaking humbling. I get that. And it's messy. But it's progress. And it's progress in the right direction. I mean, progress is rarely ever linear. So when I was hearing about Nex Playground, the context that I read it in was that it's a new gaming console that a bunch of parents are getting for their kids because it's getting them off of one video game and getting them to move around or sweat a little. But what I took away is that Nex Playground is very similar to how we are as humans. It's a story about never giving up, and that if you try and try and try again, and maybe a few more times after that, it might just work, but you'll never know until you try. I think that's all I had to say. We'll keep in touch, and I'll see you in the next episode.